who has something they want to try and play with and rehearse for us and see where we are? Caleb, would you like to start? Caleb suddenly lost the ability to hear. Can you hear me, Caleb?
Oh, you said my name.
Yes, Papa, can you hear me? Yes, I'm doing Barbara Streisand and Yentl.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, would you like
You
to
hear my name?
start?
Sure. I've been working today just on my monologue and like going through the separate chunks. There's like three, maybe four chunks in this monologue, big ones. And this first one, is writing like underlying some like operative language. It's all about being alone or people leaving. And maybe the monologue starts with when I was alone in the room. And then about how everyone's gone now. The transients have all left, even the landlady, me and the painter, we've all left. Even the apparition that has come in and would visit me from time to time, it's left. There's a sign on the door that says to keep
Listen,
out.
I want you to be careful. I've talked to you about this since I first met you. You have a very good speaking voice, and the problem with having a very good speaking voice is you tend to use your voice. And the reason I'm stopping you is because in you outlining the chunks, you are losing the poetry.
Mm.
In other words, here's I think it's really an important thing is that you do not let anything pass by. If it's about alone, I don't want you to report it's about alone. I want you to have a sense of aloneness when you say the word. I mean, that's really an important thing. It is the musicality of the English language. I think it must be so wonderful to act in French or Italian, you know, because there's something about joie de vivre or à tout à l'heure. I mean, there's something about the French language that lets the acting come out of the language. What you have a tendency to do is to remove yourself from the connection of what you're talking about because you are reporting the logic. And you just have to know that this is a problem of yours. You know, everybody has different problems. That happens to be a problem of yours. The fact that JP could go through the devil's monologue and kind of go through the sequence of thoughts and be clear that yes, that feeds into that. Yes, that feeds into that. Yes, that feeds into that. But, you know, JP's been acting for 25 years longer than you have. And as a result, he has the ability to still not lose the impulse, still not lose the action, even though he is going through chunk by chunk the sequence of thoughts of the monologue. Does that make sense? In other words, it's like there's some things that he can. JP has other problems, but that's not one of them. You know, so you have to just you have to always be aware that you have a tendency to report because you have a logical mind. And so it's like you have to stop yourself from that. you can't say it's all about loneliness as if you're doing a report. It's all about aloneness. When, as an actor, when you say it's all, I don't say you have to have it full on, but you have to have a sense that if it's about aloneness, it's almost like I have to take a moment and say, what is that like? What is it like to be alone? And then he talks about everyone being gone from this space that had life. At the beginning of the published version, does he say to the audience, this place was alive?
The place was alive?
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look. I know that he says at one point, this house is empty now.
No, I'm talking about the very first line of the play. Anyway, if it's not, it was in the original version, which I suppose one day we must all go to my storage room and see if we can locate it. But
the house was alive?
Yes. At the very, very beginning of the play, in the very original version that Tennessee wrote, the writer walks onto the empty set and turns to the audience and says, this house was alive. And I mean, that's, there is that sense, nonetheless, of now he is alone. It's a horrifying word. It's a terrible, terrible word. And you must build into it. You must build into it that. But especially in this particular play and in this particular circumstance. Does that make sense? I don't want you, you have a very nice deep voice, but the problem with it is I have always found that actors who have great voices rely on their voices. And that's something I want you to be aware of. Be aware of that. This is not about voice acting. I think I told you when I did this monologue for Stella, Stella said to me, there is a tone of reminiscence. And she said, her exact line to me was, if you can get that tone, I'll let you buy me a drink. But there is a tone to reminiscence. When we reminisce, it is a tone, and with Tennessee, it's a lot. It's a lot of that. In other words, the tone of reminiscence is that you're going back, and it's almost like your voice moves you through time. And you see things, and you reflect on them. And there is this tone of reminiscence that has about it, when I was alone in the room, the visitor having, but you see, it's there. I'm not reporting. This is not a play-by-play. I am reliving, I'm revisiting, I am revisiting, maybe, is it? This moment. And you can't do that. without, as Stella said, the tone of reminiscence. But
Yeah, that's brilliant.
yeah, no, she was very good. And I learned well. And why did I learn well? Because I made so many mistakes. That's why I know so much about acting. It's because I fucked up so many times. Including, and not limited to, one of my favorite comments was when I started the scene, the class was in hysterics, and Stella stopped me and she said, "Darling, that's what we call Broadway acting. We don't do that at this school."